It's Friday, April 4th.
The Government of Canada will be responding by matching the U.S. approach.
Counterattack. Canada responding to the U.S. auto tariff with our own tariff on American-made vehicles.
I think our markets are going to boom. Got to give it a little chance.
Boom and bust. Investors in Canada and around the world feeling plenty of pain as they watch their portfolios fall from a global stock sell-off.
Just the vibe, enjoy it, appreciate it, be thankful. That's it.
Wild weather. A warm and sunny day in Toronto Thursday had some people, like this guy, dancing for joy just 24 hours after snow and heavy rain.
We're just so pleased to be back here again.
Touching down again. Virgin Atlantic resuming flights between Toronto and London more than 10 years after they abandoned that route. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. Hope your Friday is off to a great start.
Were you going to say something? You opened your mouth like you were going to.
No, I was like, yes, it's Friday.
It's important information. Let's talk about tariffs. Canada is hitting back at the U.S. for tariffs on our country's auto industry.
Unlike the U.S. tariffs, will not affect auto parts because we know the benefits of our integrated production system.
Canada is imposing a tariff on $35 billion worth of cars made in the U.S. Parts made in Canada and Mexico on those cars won't be facing the tariffs. This will mean higher costs for Canadian customers and importers. This counter tariff is expected to take effect at some point over the next couple of days. It's expected to raise about $8 billion in revenue. Prime Minister Mark Carney says the money collected will go right back to supporting workers. Meanwhile, Ontario Premier Doug Ford says the Stellantis auto plant in Windsor needs to reopen quickly after the company confirmed there will be that 2-week shutdown starting on Monday.
We all agreed that we got the best of a bad deal, which in my opinion is still totally unacceptable. The only thing that's acceptable is zero tariffs.
Premier Ford spoke at Queen's Park Thursday after meeting with the Prime Minister and other premiers virtually. Stellantis confirmed Thursday their Windsor plant is holding a 2-week shutdown as they assess the effects of Donald Trump's tariffs. The plant will be closed until April 21st. That's the current plan. 3,600 Canadian workers will be temporarily laid off. Plants in Mexico, Michigan, and Indiana also pausing for 2 weeks, putting 900 Americans out of work.
Every one of the auto manufacturers has indicated to me that they do intend to stay in Canada. They do intend to produce in Canada.
And Canada's Industry Minister, Anita Anand, says she has received assurances from auto companies they won't move their business elsewhere in the wake of these tariffs. She says the government has agreements in place with auto manufacturers. Minister Anand says Ottawa will continue to develop, manufacture, and invest in Canada. There is more red in pre-market trading today, this morning, after the massive market sell-off not seen since the early days of the pandemic.
This is akin to what we saw back in 1930. I'm not going to say it's going to trigger a global depression. I'm not going that far. But this is big stuff with lots of unknowns.
Trillions of dollars in value just wiped out in one day of trading. The Dow was down 1,600 points. The NASDAQ dropping almost 6%, the TSX losing nearly 4%. Investors are worried this trade war will lead to high inflation and an economic slump. And the sell-off is showing no signs of stopping. Markets in Asia and Europe down this morning. Dow futures down about 440 points. NASDAQ futures down 130 points in pre-market trading. The leaders of both the NDP and Conservative parties are pitching ideas they believe could make Canada more resilient in the face of these tariffs.
This is an opportunity for Canadians to invest in our country. In fact, during the World War, victory bonds raised more revenue than taxes.
Axing the GST on a $50,000 Canadian-made automobile.
Investing in Canada.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is proposing tax-free savings bonds similar to victory bonds that were available during the Second World War. He says they would be a guaranteed investment, and if you held them to maturity, you would get all revenue tax-free. Meanwhile, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says getting rid of GST on Canadian-made cars would save buyers $2,500. He says that would raise the demand for these cars, keeping workers on the assembly line. Convoy protest organizers Tamara Leach and Chris Barber have been found guilty of mischief. In handing down the ruling, the judge said Leach and Barber encouraged people to protest, knowing how it would affect people and businesses in Ottawa. The two were found not guilty of several other charges, including obstruction and counseling intimidation. Barber was also found guilty of counseling to disobey a court order for encouraging protesters to honk their horns despite an injunction. Sentencing is scheduled for April 16th. A measles outbreak in Ontario is getting worse. 89 more cases have been added, with a total now of 661 total infections reported in the province. Most of those are in southwestern Ontario. The outbreak started in October after an infected person arrived from New Brunswick. So to date, 52 people have been hospitalized. 50 of those people were not vaccinated. Most of these infected people are children. Meanwhile, Saskatchewan's health authority is reporting a 6th case of measles in the province. Infectious disease experts say measles is extremely contagious. Getting vaccinated is the best way to stay protected. It has been a week of wild weather in southern Ontario.
I'm just enjoying the beautiful sun that we had today because Canada is crazy. Canada's weather is crazy.
Feels a bit like whiplash. What a difference a day can make. Really, really different. Yeah. People were enjoying the sun and peeling off the layers in the GTA yesterday, just a day after the region saw this. Cold wind, blowing snow, heavy rain. That rain, by the way, caused flooding on streets in this condo building, parking garage. And while areas around the city will enjoy another few days of double-digit temperatures, there could be snow again early next week. There are changes in the air at Toronto's Pearson Airport. Virgin Atlantic is resuming service between Toronto and London.
For some reason or other, it seems that a lot of Canadians want to go that direction rather than another direction at the moment. So we're happy to oblige.
Sir Richard Branson was on board one of these flights. It has been more than 10 years since Virgin Atlantic flew between the two cities. The airline now has daily flights between Toronto and London until the end of the summer at least. Branson arrived, well, you can see, lots of gear. Team Canada jerseys, his team carrying both Canadian and British flags. Virgin Atlantic, the return comes as it expands its partnership with WestJet. Virgin Atlantic says they've learned a lot after withdrawing from the Canadian market, adding this time they're here to stay. Your sports highlight of the week comes from England's National League. Yeah, I bet. Luke Coulson scoring that goal from his own penalty area. That's 100 yards away, by the way. Hornchurch's goalkeeper was out of his net, trying to help score a late tying goal when it was 3-2. Ultimately, the game ended 4-2 because of that goal. Awesome. Woo! Bounce. That's fun. For them, not the other team.